Good morning. Thank you for coming here to join us this morning. Thank you very much to everybody who's come to talk here this morning. I'll present you in a moment, introduce you in a moment. Let's talk to Enrique, General Manager of Westcon. On my left, I have César López, General Manager of the GoodJob Foundation. He has experience in many different companies. He's worked in marketing and logistics, such as Segur and international logistics. And since 2007, he's been working social economy and has always developed projects related to diversity and disability. So thank you very much for being here today. We also have Enrique. We also have David here. He has already given a chat here over the last few days, so he's already well known. He's been in technology security for more than 50 years. He has worked in different roles, but always in the field of security, and he currently works in Telefónica in the global proposal for security. He has also managed proposals for technology for Telefónica. He has training in the Polytechnic University of Madrid and a number of certifications in cybersecurity. He's specialized in technology, integral risk management, anti-cloud, and has a great deal of experience in R&D, project management, and dealing with teams. And of course, everybody will know the next person here, Román. He gave a talk here yesterday. He has more than 26 years of experience in the sector. He has worked in large companies such as Digital Security, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ferrovial, and where he was responsible for architecture and security for 10 years. He's co-founder of the event, one of the most important events in cybersecurity in the country. He doesn't only work in Madrid, but also nationally and in other countries. He works in the master in cybersecurity, and he is now General Manager of Real Talent. My name is Raúl Riesco. I'm here from INCIBE, and I'm very excited about the project that we're going to talk about this morning. And now I'd like to hand over to César. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much to INCIBE for inviting us here to the event, and above all for accompanying and fomenting the program that we're going to talk about today, the program for employability in cybersecurity, an opportunity for businesses and the disabled. We've spoken about the fact that cybersecurity is really important currently, and this is an activity that is indeed got many opportunities in terms of employment. It will grow over the coming years. There is a great deal of activities, and this creates the demand of different types of profiles, of many different kinds of qualifications, different types of skills, and these are great reasons to have an employability program out there. And for an organization such as ours to do something special, GoodJob Foundation, something special for people who have disabilities. It's saying, okay, there are opportunities here, and why not? When I spoke to INCIBE about this, and as Román is also a part of this and foments this project, we realized and we thought thought we have to do something from the GoodJob Foundation. And let me tell you a little bit more about us. We are not related to cybersecurity. We have no idea about cybersecurity, but we do know a little bit about employability and disabled. We are an NGO, and we deal with people who have disabilities. We focus on employability and disabilities. So we feel like we have to, shall we say, to talk about the issues that we're going to talk about here today. Cybersecurity is a huge opportunity for people with disabilities. And we talked about this in the foundation, and we thought, well, this is an accelerator, shall we say. We put things on the table, and as we were talking, including to the people who are here with us today, including Enrique, Sánchez, everybody was saying, well, it's clear, it's obvious how obviously we're going to do this. It's very, very clear. And there were several reasons for that. And I'd like to talk about the part that I'm more familiar with, the reasons and for disabilities and so on. And then we'll talk more about the opportunities. The objective of the program is to open up opportunities for people who have disabilities to find stable jobs, so that people with disabilities can find stable jobs in the field of cybersecurity, and to identify and foment the capabilities within this field, taking into account different levels of employability, different levels of support, and different kinds of positions in companies. So one of the things we said was that cybersecurity requires a great deal of number of tasks. So we need people who are different types of capabilities. As such, there are probably people who have disabilities who are very, very good dealing with certain areas of cybersecurity. And since this is growing, it's the time to do it. And so we were decided to go along with this project and create an employability program in cybersecurity for people with disabilities. Let me talk a little bit about what it's all about, what the focus of the program is, and try and tell you a little bit about how we're dealing with this. It's aimed at people with a disability. It has no cost for the participants. It's something that we're going to do from the organizations that are involved. The idea is for it to be 100 people when it is born in 2020, and it goes ahead. Then we will deal with people who have disabilities but would like to work in technology, who are searching for job opportunities and are able to apply themselves to the field of cybersecurity, and who have training that is not just the standard training, not just certifications in computing. We're not talking about masters and other interesting courses, but it's aimed at people who maybe don't have a great deal of training, but have the vocation and capabilities depending on the types of opportunities that are available. We'll give 2 training courses in Madrid and León, and we want this to be a scalable project, so that we can identify the best way, and the best way of doing that is experimenting. We're going to have 2 different dimensions. We'll have 2 pilot training courses, Madrid and León. One will be a bit shorter and one be a bit longer in both cities. And following those training courses, or at the same time, we will identify the skills that these people have, and companies that have opportunities and that have the option of taking these people on a professional role and incorporating them into their staff. So it's not a commercial search so that they can end up working in a particular business. There will be 5 people giving support in Madrid, 5 people giving support in León. These are technicians in employability. They have a great deal of knowledge in terms of employment for people with disabilities. And each person will deal with a specific area of each of the different participants and help to orient them. So when a person starts working in a different profession, we find talents, find skills that even those persons didn't know about, and we will find that in the field of cybersecurity. So those are the main parameters of the program. We want to train people. Some will be perhaps better than us, but what we want is a global vision with a general line, so that people who have a disability, who don't have a doctorate, don't have an engineering degree or higher level education, but do have a vocation and do want to end up in this professional field, so that we can give them the opportunity to do that. And before we get into the technical side of what training courses, how to do this, I'd also like to talk a little bit about disability, about why it's even necessary that we need to have a specific program for people with disabilities. Talking about numbers, there are around 1,800,000 people in Spain who have a disability. These are people of a working age, and out of them, people who are working or searching for work, we're talking about 35 people out of every 100 people. So these people are either working or looking for work. But however, in the field of disabilities, we're talking about 78 out of every 100 people who are of working age that are looking for work. We're talking about a more of a social model in this particular case, but these figures give an indication of the field that we're working with. There is about 23–24% of people who are unemployed, whereas the figures are a lot lower with people who don't have a disability, 15–16%. So this is another indication of why we need to focus on this field and to give people incentives to people. We talked about women in cybersecurity before, and it's a little bit the same in this field. So what characteristics or what are the profiles of the people with disabilities? Some people have a physical disability, 25% of people have a mental disability, you can have audible disabilities, and other people have permanent disabilities. If somebody's had an accident at work and can't continue in their line of work, they end up having a status of disability and part of that 15%. So what are the characteristics of these people? So only a small number of people have a degree. Some have higher education, and then we get into primary education, and a small percentage of people who don't have any education at all. So there are a lot of people who are with a disability who are looking for work who don't have higher education. The people who do have higher education, a degree or a master, really have a great deal of number of options within the field of employment. It's very important for employment to be inclusive. 75 out of every 100 jobs that are offered here in Spain go through agencies, but businesses aren't out there offering themselves to the people with disabilities. But we believe that there are many companies that are not special agencies in employability, do have opportunities in their companies, and we can incentivize people to work in their field and work in these companies. This way we'll have more inclusive employment in the country. There is legislation so that people need to have people with disabilities working for them, but the offer available out there does not meet the demand. In cybersecurity and in other sectors, in Madrid, we're not talking about roles that anybody can do if you don't have the appropriate training. So these are all the different reasons that justify why we have positive discrimination and an employability program that focuses on people with a disability. It's not about the people with a disability with the best training to put them into this program. We're talking about people with disabilities who are looking for a job or have all of a sudden they have a disability. This is quite common in the field of work. People all of a sudden are in a situation in which they have a disability, and we have to deal with people and give opportunities to people who come across this situation. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense that we set up this program. We can help people who don't really know what they want to do, weren't clear about that, who didn't have the sufficient training to enter into this sector. But we can orient them, and they can find out about technology. And if we are able to help them and orient them and let them see that they have an opportunity in this field, we can accompany them in that entire process, because these people might find that they are not successful during the selection process, the hiring process, and this is what we wanted to help them to get to the end. And the program will accompany people so that we can work with those situations and find stable employment in regular companies for people with disabilities. And this is a little bit of the objective of this program, and a little bit the idea and the approach that we have.
I would like to focus now on how, and that is where I would like to talk to the people who are here with me, because when we started thinking about this together, because GoodJob did have a program with training in cybersecurity, but we had a maximum of 15 people who would get into jobs a year. So we thought there's something we're not doing right. And this is where Román came along, where Raúl came along, as well as Enrique, through his company. And that's what we saw where the accelerators could be. So I would like to open the debate, and I invite you all to take part and see what positions do you think people who are not computer engineers could take, what training, what specific training they should undergo, how in order to get stable jobs. Is it the beginning of the professional career? Could be for some, could be for others. Is it possible for people to get to the top of cybersecurity, or is it enough for us to just help people to access the job market and accompany those who want to get to the top, but let those who do not want to get to the top do whatever they want to do? So, Román, every time I look at you, I see that you're willing to say something, so please go ahead.
Yo os voy a retrotraer al año 91.
I would like to take you back to 1991 when I started working with BBS. And it's funny because my first modem I bought from José Cerdán, the director of Telefónica Tech, when he had a computer shop in Zaragoza, Paseo Sagasta. So just so you get an idea of the world we're talking about. So I started connecting to BBS, to university, and I got 115,000 pesetas invoice, and my mom got really, really upset with that. And so I started getting in touch with people who were into hacking, which at the time was fricking, trying to tap into the phone and pay as little as possible, get on pilot lines, get on beige box, which is what we had here in Spain. So one day I got connected to El Sol BBS. This was about 3 in the morning, so I'm just walking around my... So if you haven't seen a BBS, you won't have any idea what I'm talking about, but just imagine you had little text boxes all around the screen, and it took for a while for the whole screen to have text, and then you'd get onto a forum and the same little boxes, and then you could start downloading files and reading text. So this is 3 a.m. Pop-up shows, and the administrator starts asking, and I see that he is writing really slowly. I'm really excited, nevertheless, because it was my first time. So I start getting to know this person virtually, obviously, in a virtual world. I don't know if on the other side I have a dog, a cat, a dragon, a man, a woman, a tomboy, anything. Some months go by, and this person invites me to their home. Just picture, I was 17 at the time, so I had to go from Zaragoza to a little town really, really far away. So I look for buses, I look for means of getting there. And when I get into this man's house, I see that this is a man who is in bed and can only move his wrists a tiny little bit. And so he had created little accessories with little sticks that would help him write on his keyboard. He had created this BBS, he had created an investment firm that he had done remotely, and that's when I realized the amount of things you can and cannot do. And this is really the criteria that I always use when someone says I cannot do it. This man was called Fernando Beltrán, and he was responsible for El Sol BBS. And then I understood 2 main things. First of all, on the other side of the screen, you don't have to care who you have, because there's someone doing magic. Doesn't matter if it's someone with a mental or physical disability. They are capable of doing many, many things in the world and by themselves. And regardless of what that person is like, no one can have aesthetic and absurd limitations in their lives. And this is something that César has said. I only get in touch with people who fit the idea that I have of a hacker. And Edwin Conchi was saying earlier, you can be a woman hacker, so it is true. I have been talking all my life through IRC channels with different people. I didn't know what was on the other side. Even Second Life, do you remember? You could interact with avatars. You didn't know if it was a man or a woman. You only saw the avatar. And in a field which has a lot to do with merits and what you do, it's wonderful, because I don't need to know what you are. You can be whatever you are. Just work and produce good work, and that's the only thing that matters. And this is why I thought this was a wonderful opportunity, first of all, because I feel an emotional link with it, but also because I really think it's an opportunity to show how we can do things well when it comes to inclusion and integration. Now, César was saying regarding content, we have to be pragmatic with this initiative. We want to achieve results, and in the short term as well. David is coming from Telefónica, and Westcon is here as well. And these are 2 companies who have decided to work with us from the word go, and they are really working for this to work. And this is key, but it cannot be an excuse for for people with disabilities to end up in ghettos, because we're thinking about someone with a disability checking socks and lines, and I'm really sorry I've got a very colorful language, but I want to say that this is a shit job. And it's very good to start, but someone with a disability can be able to manage red teams, can do forensic, digital forensics. They can do just everything that anyone can do because it has nothing to do with their disability. And this is essential, yes, but we have to be pragmatic. We have to start getting people with disabilities into the field. We have to start training them, and we have to build a path for them to start growing and to start being in different positions, and here actually giving talks and telling us all what happened during their career and how they got where they are. So companies like Westcon, what they need right now, they have perimeter security, they have a lot of correlation, they have many different platforms, and they would need an inventory, and that is essential for them. And maybe we should work along those lines for training, because Raúl and Beatriz, who are helping a lot with us from INCIBE, Raúl was actually saying during a meeting, I understand what you want in the long term, but let's start with specific steps in the first 2 quarters of next year. So let's see what Telefónica needs, let's see what Westcon needs, because they are the companies that are working with us. And let's start with that, which doesn't mean that our goal in 3 years is to have 8,000 hackers with disabilities who do really cool things. Well, there's no need to explain how much Román is really helping the situation and to talk about his vision any further, but I would like to link this with what he said about Westcon and the role that companies play in this. We have 2 levels of companies, some we don't know right now that we hope are going to be companies who take in people with disabilities that take part in this program, and then other types of companies who have started to work with us from the word go and say, no, I am really interested and I want this now. I don't want to wait. I don't want for this to take forever. And so I'm going to mention 2 different situations, but which I think are complementary to each other, because we have a very diverse team and very interesting as well. It's all about feedback amongst us, isn't it? Yeah, for example, Enrique, I met him and I mentioned this, and it took him literally 15 seconds to say, no, I'm interested and I want to partake. So these companies that are on this first level, they want to hire people with disabilities as soon as possible, and they want to be sort of catalyzers for this. And I'm talking about 2 levels because we have companies such as Enrique's, who already have hired people with disabilities who are in the GoodJob Foundation and who have taken a certificate in computing security that we offer for training for them with the cooperation of the Telefónica Foundation. And so we have a beginning for those people who are already working in their company. But what's interesting is that in the first 2-3 months, they're going to train them on what the company does, but at the same time, they're going to start looking into where they could go within the company, depending on what they like doing or what they're good at. And so they said, well, we want to take part in this, and we want to start straight away. Well, básicamente es una demanda de profesionales en este entorno donde hay pleno empleo. Y es muy difícil incorporar talento a la velocidad que la pide el mercado. Y estamos explorando pues también todas las opciones, ¿no? Y otra conversación me pareció muy interesante porque además esto liga con la parte de responsabilidad social corporativa, que es decir, que es un compromiso también de nuestra organización con devolver algo, ¿no? hacia la sociedad. Yo creo que nuestra organización tiene una plataforma, digamos, a 3 niveles de técnicos, un área de soporte, como decía Román, y de atención al cliente y demás. Y por otro lado tenemos un área también importante de formación y otra de servicios profesionales. Y por eso que estamos un poco explorando dónde mejor van a encajar estos perfiles. we are exploring where these profiles and these people can fit in, but we're not closing any doors. We're seeing that support and customer care fit in really well, but after having these 2-3 people in our company and with people that we've worked with before, we've seen that there is potential for these people to fit in different stages as well, and I think they have added a new spirit and point of view to the organization, and I think this is key, and this is what really, I think, makes an impact. Including people with disabilities in your company gives people back a bit of perspective. It makes them look at life from a more humble point of view. The fact that you see people who are working really hard to get started again in a company and bet on something which is very complicated, because this field is very specific, get the commitment to train in that field, and when they work with people who have already trained in this. This is a really, really big effort. And I think that has changed the point of view of everyone. I think everyone feels proud of having next to them someone who is constantly working to get better, to overcome their challenges and their handicaps, and who come every day to work and want to add value. And I think that is absolutely key. And when we talk about employment and growth, we usually tend to forget about that and about soft skills, which are absolutely crucial for organizations. So these people do highlight and remind us and even bring back to the organizations the human side of everything. And it might not be so directly related to work in general, but I think it's very important not only for our company but also for the whole field and the industry.
Es algo que nosotros observamos mucho cuando tenemos un proceso con una empresa, y es algo que ya hemos observado incluso en Westcon. Al final, todos tenemos estereotipos de las cosas, ¿no? Entonces, cuando hablamos de integración laboral de personas con discapacidad, cuando hablamos de personas con discapacidad, pensamos en una persona ciega, una persona con síndrome de Down, una persona sorda, o diferentes estereotipos que tenemos todos en la cabeza, ¿no? Y cuando hacemos esto, y nos imaginamos cómo vamos a introducir a estas personas, parece como que vamos a tener que hacer unos grandes sobreesfuerzos en la situación para que una persona al final encaje en el puesto de trabajo, ¿no? ¿Por qué? Porque es ciega. ¿O por qué? Pues porque tal, ¿no? Entonces, el abanico de personas con discapacidad y el abanico de tipos de discapacidades no es que sea infinito, pero es casi infinito. Por tanto, cuando pensamos en integrar a una persona con discapacidad en la plantilla, es un reto, pero es una cosa mucho más familiar de lo que parece. Y eso se demuestra cuando se arranca el proceso, es algo que se demuestra y que la gente lo percibe, ¿no? Entonces nosotros vemos en los entornos laborales que salta un clic en un momento determinado, donde la gente dice, joder, esto no es nada del otro mundo, es que me siento hasta bien con este tema, este tío es majísimo.
Good doing this, I really like working with this person. Yeah, and actually people get involved with getting these people fit into the company, and they feel proud of doing it, and it's a way of getting motivated as well. And I think that is very important. If we go back to the foundation, these are people who can do a normal job, and one of the things we're looking into is potentially having these people train other people, because we have professional services, we have installations as well. So we are really analyzing all the possibilities. We have a lot of demand, and we're really excited about this. And with Román, we also have the challenge of making them become a very powerful red team, which is also transparent, where no one knows what's behind that red team. Who are we? Well, there you go. This is us. And, tell people about the action point as well.
También hablando de Telefónica, decir que Telefónica fue otro caso distinto, un poco como se introdujo en todo esto a través de pues, la parte de seguridad de la información y de todo lo que es seguridad informática o ciberseguridad en Telefónica, y que ahora hoy representa aquí David con nosotros. Cuando se lo contamos a uno de los responsables, en concreto una persona que trabaja, con quien trabaja David, pero Pablo Pérez, una persona muy conocida y que no ha podido asistir hoy aquí, es que tardó otros 15 segundos en decir, a mí esto, o sea, yo quiero estar ahí, a mí me interesa, y tengo que tratar un montón de gente, pero me interesa, bueno, esto te va a venir también bien por el tema de la cuota del 2%, es que no quiero ni saber lo del 2%, es que me da un poco igual lo de la legislación, porque realmente lo quiero hacer porque tengo que contratar gente, porque me parece genial, y además me parece factible, podemos formar a gente con discapacidad de diferentes tipos para poder meterla dentro. Yo me apunto, y su compromiso fue, yo en Madrid de este programa voy a poder contratar seguro a 15 personas, en León a lo mejor no tanto porque estadísticamente hay menos, ¿no? Pero también tenemos empresas allí y vamos a poder contratar. Con lo cual, tengo que agradecer también un poco esa predisposición, ¿no? David, te pregunto, ¿qué percepción tienes tú un poco del programa a tu nivel, en tu gerencia un poco? Gerencias identidad, gerencias fraude, gerencias...
the things that you do, which is identity fraud. Well, first of all, I wanted to congratulate INCIBE for this event. I want to really call on people to attend if they haven't done so, because this is amazing. So I wanted to say two things. We have a quantitative and a qualitative point of view. So from the point of view of Telefónica, we want to make technology human and we want to connect people's lives. Sorry for being a bit corporate, but I think it's true and it's a wonderful vision. And for me, taking part in this has been a gift, really. I studied telecommunications engineering, and one of my fellow students
Y cuando estaba diciendo Román lo de referencia, el chaval es bastante más inteligente que yo.
I saw how
chaval, unas capacidades fantásticas, pero vas viendo cómo ese deterioro físico le va un poco sacando, como los coches, ¿no? Vas ahí un poco metiendo en el carril y va un carril un poco y se aparca una vía de servicio. Y bueno, hoy está un poco más apartado del mundo, ¿no? Y me parece que estas ideas, desde el punto de vista cualitativo, no cuantitativo, que veremos, evidentemente, pues cualquier estadística de empleabilidad, de ciberseguridad, falta muchísima gente y demás, ¿vale? También podemos hablar un poco de eso, y lo súper interesante, porque hubo una ponencia Martínez, el jueves, que cuando empezó el evento, respecto a los nuevos perfiles que habla la tecnología.
And she talks about new profiles that technology, new jobs that technology is bringing. It's not only engineers and super scientists. There are many creative abilities, and these profiles actually have much more creativity and empathy than the average citizen. So we have all company social responsibility, and we have to help to eliminate prejudices, because people do have prejudices when dealing with different people. And of course, in terms of quantity in cybersecurity, we really do need many people.
Y lo digo de cara a la gente que nos esté viendo, ya no solo aquí, sino también por streaming.
Just for the people who are watching us here and on streaming, what kind of jobs, specific
top level, sino qué tipo de trabajo concretos, qué tipo de actividades concretas veis que puede encajar una persona que sea formada durante un mes, que sea formada durante 3 meses en esos 2 niveles de formación, a bola pluma, sin compromiso, sino simplemente, pues yo lo veo aquí. Pues lo digo porque el que menos sabe de esto soy yo, y Román es alguien que está ahí rascando. Por otro lado, Raúl, con toda la experiencia formativa y toda la carga que viene con INCIBE, que es el mastodonte, pues tienen todo ese conocimiento, pero yo particularmente me cuesta aterrizar un poco, pues yo le vería haciendo esto en este puesto de trabajo, en este otro.
No, specifically what things they could do,
and vale.
You know, if each of you could say 2.
Le da una vuelta, insisto, me venía a la imagen de mi compañero y insisto con lo que dice Román, mi compañero puede trabajar, hago yo y lo hace mejor que yo, sin lugar a dudas. Pero bueno, creo que sabe muchos campos, por ejemplo, en el campo de la consultoría, pues veía un poco la formación también, en el tema de temas de seguridad de redes, datos,
que no tiene prácticamente una formación fuerte, ¿vale? Es decir, nos
someone
vamos
who
a
doesn't
buscar a
have much
gente
training,
que
much background
está en situación
training.
de búsqueda de empleo, pero no tienen la
There
carrera
are
de
people who are searching for jobs
tienen una
but
ingeniería.
don't have a computer science degree or an engineering degree. Even if you've got a degree, then there's nothing secure, there's no guarantees.
Tú sabes el que te lee los manuales en casa, ¿sabes? Tampoco, no te enseña ni leer manuales ni seguridad.
There are many people who just read the manuals at home.
Román ya tiene un poquito también de
The people
experiencia,
of
pues hemos
us,
empezado
out of us who work in security, you just start out with a manual and you just get ahead with it. So that could be the case, just take a manual, read it and start out. As David was saying, you mustn't have complexes. When I had to learn about programming, I was there for 3 months intensively, and I mean I was literally stuck to the desk and constantly on the keyboard. But I became an expert in programming because I didn't focus on anything else. But I think there are many activities that you can do, as Enrique was saying, level 0, 1, 2, looking at patterns, connecting different things, administrating platforms. Perhaps INCIBE and the companies, you could go to managers and say, oh, you know, give us these opportunities. People study, people get certification. What else do you need than somebody with a certification? Now give that person a job. People who manage firewall, people who do threat hunting, thousands of things that people with disabilities can do. And people with autism as well, such as Asperger's, they can do magic with these things.
En línea con lo que decía Román, yo creo que el tema de los SOCs cabe casi
As Román was saying, I think the SOCs covers all different profiles, technologies and so on, but it's also different environments, in OT environments, in certifications, in terms of privacy. You don't have to have studied engineering for 6 years to work in that. You need to have interest, you need to get the manuals, you need to have the ability to see that and deal with that.
Y estoy totalmente de acuerdo. Y bueno, nosotros estamos en la iniciativa y demás.
I agree totally, and we're in this initiative. But I think there's a difference from a few months ago and now, because the spectrum is so wide,
y el compromiso que tenemos entre todos nosotros de llevar esto a cabo,
lose the focus and the commitment we have to put this into something real and make a real program out of this and convert these opportunities into something real for these people. But we have a commitment over time as well. I think if we come back in 1 year's time to the same event and we sit down, we'll talk about all of the experiences that we've had up until 2020. We'll be changing into a new decade, and I think the real difference is what was already there. People with disabilities have been there, and I know the background very well. But it's not that, it's the commitment of managers, of organizations, of the government to let things move forward, to have a concrete journey and path towards something better. And I think that's the real difference. I think the potential is there, the people are there, the advantages are there. There are all types of advantages, but we need to maintain our commitment over time, at least in the midterm, at least. And particularly talk next year about what's happened in 2020, talk back and look back onto that. I totally agree with my colleagues, and I'd like to add a personal opinion, and I think it's the basis of what we're talking about. I think it's a question of attitude. Experience is very important, it's essential to work on that, but attitude is essential. Based on my personal experience, if you believe in something, you can create it. I think here we all believe in our project. Sometimes you have to even put the brakes on some people.
Bueno, y con CyberCamp lo estáis viendo.
But in INCIBE and in CyberCamp you can see that we're really living it.
Lo cree, ¿no? O sea, realmente estamos
People truly believe in what they're doing.
El que todos al
We're
final
working on
somos
the
usuarios.
main pillars
De
of
alguna u
this.
otra manera,
We're
las
all
tecnologías hay que hacerlo de manera
users
responsable.
in one way or another of
Pero también hay una
technology.
oportunidad en esto,
And
¿no?
there are
Entonces,
also
¿de qué manera llegas a tu
opportunities
público?
in
¿Cómo
this
conectas
field.
con tu público?
So how do you reach with your public?
Hacemos
How do you
desde
connect
teatros
with your
hasta juegos,
audience?
gincanas para llegar a ese público y que se lleven
We've been doing games out there to reach and get closer to our audience and extend that knowledge. So this opportunity goes along with another component that is not available in other sectors, and that's the community. The hacker community is a community that shares their knowledge. It's a community that thinks in a different kind of way. So I think we even have a bigger opportunity to do things within this industry. Some of the initiatives that I've enjoyed and have helped us, such as Hacker Spaces, this is an international community that gets together with no particular interest other than to share, and involves people from technology, and they share their knowledge between them. And it's also about sharing the talents that we have in Spain in this field. We've been seeing talks and workshops of all kinds of the last few days, and this is people who are sharing their knowledge in very interesting areas.
Son gente de españoles, muchas veces están fuera de España ya,
are from Spain. Many of them are working outside of Spain, unfortunately, because we haven't had the opportunity to retain them here in Spain. But Spain is a very social country. It has always been a social country, both in terms of immigration and in terms of function. In INCIBE we've worked in many different projects, and we've looked at these issues and tried to give solutions. And it's a very gratifying area. We all need to help and to move things forward. Talking specifically about employability and cybersecurity, there is a demand and there is offer. Perhaps they're not aligned exactly, but we are looking for skills that are even superhuman. We're asking people to know a lot about everything all at once, and that's very, very difficult. A conversation we had was talking about the need to specialize and not needing to know everything about everything. And this is one of the challenges that we have. And I'd also look to talk about responsibility from the corporation, but also responsibility, real responsibility, because Román was talking a bit about this, and there's a program in the US about specific people that some people are better than others who are not. If we're talking about analysis of images, people with Asperger's syndrome or autism have been demonstrated they have special skills for this field. And they have skills that are much more effective than in some other cases. And I'd like to end saying that we have to be specific and concrete, and there is a real opportunity here
que en España pues ha demostrado su talento varios años. Ayer hicimos un
brainstorming
sobre lecciones aprendidas.
Yesterday we had brainstorming about the lessons learned because we didn't do so well in the competition that we were involved in last year. We were 13th.
Están intentando mejorar, por ejemplo,
but all countries are trying to improve. And one of the areas is the ratio of women in the groups, but nobody has spoken to me about these kinds of opportunities in those gatherings. We're talking about people with specific skills and who are even better than other different kinds of profiles. Absolutely. I believe in specializing.
concreto de integración laboral de personas con discapacidad.
And this is a specialist program for integration. And you've spoken about specialization in cybersecurity and using people's skills. And this is what it's all about. Talking about this program, we're talking about the importance of people who are following things up, testing information, who's good at what are people's strengths. And we want to get to that level and work at that level. But I'd also like to mention today another aspect, which is the support of INCIBE.
Un poco quien nos es capaz de hacer concretar y de aterrizar un poco
is the entity that helps us to make this concrete and to give foundations to this project.
Bueno, y las personas que hoy también nos acompañan aquí,
the people who are here with us today and all the members of the team at INCIBE,
con el tema del programa es que hay interés,
with the program is that there's a real interest in doing it.
Pero aquí yo además lo cojo estos apuntes que hemos hecho de concreción. Lo que hay que hacer es concretar, es decir, esto
I'm writing down the ideas that we need to be a bit more concrete. We've shared really interesting energy here. We're clear about what we want to do. We've got structured the program, but now we have to call out to the people with disabilities, identify them, interview them, see who can come in and get involved. And we hope in coming years there will be even more talks and even more people involved. And we hope it goes on in time. But I think this is essential in terms of participation. And the participation of INCIBE has been essential, and taking this out into the people, to the street, and we're talking about strengths, and we need to materialize this with commitments.
La sonoridad y la imagen
we'll enjoy talking about this, but it's all about image and the power that INCIBE has is essential here. In all the meetings that I've been in, we've spoken about this, and this is something that we always repeat, and I'd like to focus on that and insist on that. There are many different strengths within our group. We've come together and talking about the different types of jobs that are out there, Telefónica also, as well as Román and Westcon, the ideas that they have, as well as employment. We're looking in all the different fields, and so really, I don't think we can have a better group of people involved with this. I don't know if you have any more comments, but congratulations to you all. I'm so pleased that this is up and running, and to build on this excitement, this interest we have in developing this program. There is also another important part of learning over the coming year. I think we need to evolve, to learn from what's happening and learn from the program and the commitment to the program. I'd like to say thank you very much to all of you when you came to us with the initiative, and also to management and to Alberto, who recently changed our new general manager, because it just took 15 seconds to talk about it, and you're already getting the response. So it's going back to what I was talking about before. If you believe, you can create. We're also getting other support from outside, so thank you to everybody who's involved. We have experience in terms of the industry, and also starting from scratch, making things happen and work. So all of the entities that have been involved right from the beginning, and all the agents and all the participants, we can't leave anybody out, because that would be an error. But in terms of having long-term programs, which is of interest to us, because this is really essential, well, we have experience in these kinds of areas of discussion.
Hablaremos muchísimo más,
and I mean that we will continue to work about this. We have to make things a little bit more concrete, but INCIBE's support is for sure.
pues es un apoyo
and
en el
it
que,
comes from the very
es una
top
autopista,
management
¿no?
level,
para poder llegar y
that's
disponer
a
de incluso
real
recursos y
trampoline
esfuerzo, ¿no?
for
Más que
putting
simplemente
things
una creencia, pues, de cualquiera de
practice.
nosotros individualmente, ¿no? Es como organizaciones,
On
una
an individual
creencia
level, we
desde el
all
punto de vista
believe
de
in
la
this
institución.
as an organization as
Muy
well.
bien, pues a mí me gustaría por último también mencionar a las
Last
personas
of
de la
all,
revista
I'd
SIC,
like
que recuerdo que en el primer
to
momento
mention people
un
from
poco
the
donde se
journal
gestaba todo esto
SIC.
junto con Rooted y tal, pues tuvieron también
We were talking about
una
this a little bit at the
participación, unas buenas
beginning.
ideas, nos sugirieron, nos
They
empujaron un poco y no están
participated
hoy
with
aquí,
their
pero
ideas and
bueno,
they
no
gave
quería
us
dejar
some
de
thought. They're not
mencionarles.
here today, but I didn't want to leave without
Bueno, decir
mentioning
simplemente que
them.
vamos a empezar para aquellas personas o
We
empresas que
will
quieran
start
tener más información
so
sobre el
that
programa
companies
y
and
más
people
concreción, incluso
who want to
participar en
know
él y
more
ver si
about
pueden
this,
ser un
know
candidato a
about
formarse y
us,
a participar en él. Vamos
or
a abrir a
people are
partir del día
interested
3
in
de
becoming
diciembre, que es el
a
Día Internacional de la
candidate.
Discapacidad.
We will start
Vamos a poner
in
en marcha
December
un correo
on
electrónico
the
que es
day for people with disabilities.
cibersec@goodjob.es.
So it says
Repito,
cibersec.
cibersec@goodjob.es. Podéis escribir ahí, vamos a empezar a comunicar de otra forma, va a haber un pequeño plan de medios donde va a tener más sonoridad y aquel que quiera evaluarse y quiera ver si puede participar, pues nosotros estaremos encantados de recibirle. No sé si hay alguna pregunta por parte de los asistentes.
From there, then we'd be happy to deal with those requests. Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much, everybody. We're out of time, but I can say that all these gentlemen will be out there and available for any questions that you may have.